So I'm pretty sure we all got to play with the ChatGPTs and Claude AIs of the world and really getting comfortable with that chat interface at this point. But I think what we're going to see more and more of in 2025 is AI being applied in novel ways and beyond the basic chat interface in a truly mainstream way. So today I will walk you through some of the tools that really stood out to me recently for the product design and AI innovation. This will be a quick walkthrough with some comments on the design of these tools, and I might review some of them more in detail later on or sooner if anyone is interested. So let's have a look at our first tool today. It's Lovable. It wants to be really your full stack engineer, and basically what's helpful for is all of those early concepts, prototypes, even small tools that you may not want to spend too much time building. And so Lovable, like many others, say Bolt or even Cursor or other editors, are really helping you creating quickly an app based on your prompt, doodles, or even Figma file. What I like about this interface is, well, they really ask you at the beginning for your input. So even if you're not logged in, this field will be visible and you are invited to actually interact with Lovable very, very early on. Of course, this has some downsides, like sometimes not knowing what is that you can actually write in and what will be understood and what not. So I often find that some guidance here would be helpful, perhaps while writing the prompt. So let's have a look at some pre-made examples. Let's go to templates perhaps. And yeah, I can't build any more for today. So let's have a look at something that's been already built. In this case, a professional admin type of dashboard. So let's try to use it and see basically what it gives us. There you have it. So it took a little while basically to copy over the whole code base, but it's also a code base that would work in real life. So that's pretty cool. And as you can see here, I have a basic dashboard in place, and I can probably check out some other sections and maybe check out some settings. Yeah, I get a lot of like the functional UI working. I'm not sure any of this is actually functional, but it's fantastic for getting started quickly. A lot of this is simply manual work that nobody would really want to do anyways in the first place. So this is just fantastic. And of course here I can keep prompting Lovable to say add features or functionality that's currently missing, as well as making tweaks. What I find often is that when you start a new project with something like Lovable, it's really good to start with a basic skeleton of an idea or app, and then through subsequent prompts, add the more important features and even the smaller ones. That's because a lot of times, basically these agents, right, they tend to lose themselves a little bit into all these tasks. And then, of course, if I specify a lot more than what they are capable of, they will start actually misbehaving quite a lot, actually. And what's cool about this is that I can actually check out the code as well if I wanted to, and really see, how it's been built, with what kind of packages, and I can go about changing the code wherever I want. So next, let's go to Polymath, which is actually even newer. And in this case, it wants to be your product designer. And so what it will do, it will, like Lovable, take in a prompt of an idea of an app and then create a working interface for it. What's nice here is that we have some actual prompt that we can use immediately. And for example, I can even attach a doodle, and I can be pretty specific or unspecific about what I want, which is pretty cool. Some things here are maybe not the easiest to write at the beginning, because what is a rounded feature blog post at the top, right? And other things like Glassmorphic, people may not know, and therefore, if they don't know, they will never prompt Polymath to do that. And so here, that's another place where I would really enjoy some guidance as I type suggestions of things that I can include, and basically having Polymath guiding me more through that process of designing an interface. And something that I can do here is try to submit my prompt. Let's now give it a try. So what I did here was, hey, I have a website for my local business, a baby and toddler clothing sharing company where people can subscribe, and each month they get clean, albeit used clothes delivered at their doorstep. That's because, I don't know, maybe people don't want to keep spending money on clothes that will last only a few weeks. Let's actually give it a go. As you can see now, it's loading, and there's this big loader, and it's not really telling me much. Yes, I can see some toast notifications at the bottom, but they're pretty generic, although written in a funny way. And really, what I would love to know is, okay, what is Polymath doing, and how is it kind of building that interface for me? So maybe even seeing the interface getting built would be very rewarding, or really just knowing that it's doing specific things. So let's now wait for it to be done and see the results. So it seems like it's done now. It took a moment because the first attempt resulted in a blank page, but I got it to work, and now I have the proper landing page. So let's have a look. It came up with a name, like I asked it to, like Tiny Threads Exchange, which is pretty cute. It came up also with all the copy and the layout, which I really appreciate. And yeah, looks like it also added in the USPs, or really explaining to people how this works. And towards the end, it's also showing pricing, which is super cool. Also, I didn't specify the pricing or how to price it. So I find it pretty interesting that it took the liberty to actually create its own plans definition, like 5 or 10 or 15 items per month, the rest being the same, of course. And it also added a blog section, which is super cool. And it's showing me different authors, which I really appreciate. And of course, a simple footer, because, well, I didn't really add a lot of specificity about the project that I wanted it to complete. Well, let's now try to iterate on it. So I have to click on this plus button, figure that out after a little while there, and let's ask it to actually, can you make the branding look a little more blue? Let's just see what this gets us. So again, it's showing me this big loader. Again, I'm not super into it, but hopefully this iteration will take much less time. So here we have now our second iteration. It took probably just as long as the previous one, actually, so that was a bit disappointing, but it added all the blue that I wanted. And so we have now buttons that are blue, as well as some highlights in the headlines. And then the logo also became blue. So yeah, also some other general elements, which I really appreciate. It looks now a little less bland. So I could even see myself trying to deploy this and just maybe do some keyword bidding and just see if I can take this off. Let me know if you would like me to try to launch some new website off of this experiment. Let's now explore more tools still related to the chat interface. So recently I found Lutra, which basically is a very tightly integrated chat interface with your work documents. And I think this could be really great for B2B applications, especially teams trying to collaborate with AI and tools they are already using. And I think it's fantastic to see more and more tools having a focus on the B2B aspect of collaborating with AIs. So let's now ask it to fetch the latest user research guides I wrote from Google Drive. It's a simple search. Let's see if it can handle that. Looks like it's working and it's quite fast, or at least it's telling me what it's doing, so it feels like it's faster. And oh, it didn't find anything. Interesting. Let's see a previous chat. There you have it. It did find previously 5 interview guides. So not sure why this time it didn't work, but it's showing me, in this case, a preview of the first one. And what I really, really like is this interface where it's showing me a kind of docked version of the Docs app of Google Drive. So if I click on it, I get to see the whole Google Doc, which is super, super cool. So now let's keep exploring and let's stay within the realm of chat interfaces applied to the work context. And this is another player I've seen recently, AnswerGrid, which basically takes the data aspect even more front and center and basically helps you with coming up with answers based on data you already have. So in this case, you have a very simple interface. Again, the suggestions. And what I like here is that the suggestions are very, very specific and they have a bit of a formula. And so I'm likely to learn a lot faster how to prompt AnswerGrid. So let's try a bit now with this prompt. I want to see what's happening. Oh, looks like the answer was very, very quick, and probably it's also cached, but it's giving me this sort of like spreadsheet-like interface, which is super, super cool. And it's giving me a lot of information all at once. And yeah, companies in San Francisco, there you have it, another list. So basically it's pretty good at pulling everything together and helping me create these spreadsheets that I can then use for data analysis, for example. I could take this even further with something like Goose, which is basically actually taking the pure spreadsheet and allowing me to run multiple AI generations and even AI agents on a single cell. So as you can imagine, this is really, really powerful to actually get a lot of processing done at once. And it's really cool to see that they really rely on the spreadsheet interface because it's so raw and spontaneous. I think a lot of times it's a much better interface than, say, an agent trying to pretty format everything. So maybe moving on and to a tool that I already had a look at in the past. So you have Gumloop, and you can see a general trend of creating workflows with AI. So this is a bit different from creating agents, but you can also create agents with workflows. And as you can see here, I can also create an interface for a workflow. I can analyze a website. So if I click on view workflow, I'll see all the different nodes that I can employ and connect together. Sometimes the workflow will be simple, sometimes it will be more complex. What's nice about Gumloop is that I can have multiple workflows and sub workflows, so I can keep my files organized. This is a bit of a newer interface that it's going to become more and more mainstream, I believe, just because it really allows you to have an infinite canvas and potentially really, really interesting collaboration features in the future. So another tool you can look into, for example, is n8n, which is a bit more advanced than Gumloop, but I have to say it's quite intuitive and probably has one of the best AI agent type of implementations at the moment you can find. I will probably make a video about this and maybe try different levels of complexity of creating a AI agent. So let me know if you're interested in that. Moving on, actually we get into something else which is really, really cool. It's basically voice. And particularly Eleven Labs has done a lot of work here to actually make that much more accessible. So they have here a way to run the product even before you actually use it, which is fantastic for anybody who's just interested or really wants to eventually buy into the product. So let's give it a try.
The Eleven Labs voice generator can deliver high-quality, human-like speech in 32 languages.
So as you could see, it did it pretty well and pretty fast too. It can also do other things like do podcasts, changing voices, dubbing, a lot of other things related to voice, which is really, really cool. Now there is something that I don't quite like here, which is they give you a lot of choices in terms of voices, but you don't know if they're going to have an accent or why should I use one voice over the other. I think there's a lot of, again, guidance that is still needed in this context. And I'm excited to see how that will come through later on this year. Moving on and actually continuing with exploring voices. So we have Sesame, which is also releasing a conversational voice application. So in this case, I can talk to Maya or Miles in this demo. Let's try with Maya.
Hey Champ, back for more? What's new since our last little chat?
Not much. How about you?
Nope. Just soaking up all this information. I was actually thinking about what you said about work earlier. What got you hooked on your line of work?
It's a good question, but I'm not interested in answering. Do you have some more questions for me?
All right.
No, wait. Actually, I was initially into cartoons and websites.
Cartoons and websites, huh?
Yeah.
Fascinating.
How do you like that?
To be honest, it kind of tracks. Like, those are worlds of pure creativity.
Well,
Do
thank you.
wanna tell me?
No, I don't want to tell you. I think we're good. Thank you, Maya.
Okay, no worries. I get it. We can talk about something else.
Perfect.
Or just hang out
Ciao.
in the quiet.
So yeah, I just tried that. It really wanted to keep the conversation going, which I'm not sure I appreciate. At the same time, I could see that latency was really, really good. And when it felt like it didn't have the answer, it felt like it was adding these words in between, these ums, all of these things that we human people say. So that's pretty cool to see. And yeah, let's take it another step forward and try something else. So in this case, we have Vapey, which is basically AI agents for developers. So again, I can give it a spin here. Let's give it a try.
Welcome to Vapai. I'm an assistant that you can talk to like a person. So, how's your day going?
Yeah, it's going pretty well, thank you. How about yours?
I am doing great, thanks. I'd love to dive into your questions, but before I do, would you mind telling me how you found out about Vapi?
Yeah, internet.
Cool. Awesome. So, what do you want to know about Vapi?
Yeah, well, give me a summary of what you guys are doing.
Sure. Vapi is a platform for building AI voice assistants. It makes it super easy for developers to add voice features to apps and phone numbers without dealing with all of the techie stuff. We handle the speech-to-speech pipeline and connect.
Oh, cool, thank you. I think I got the gist.
No problem. If you have more questions or want to dive deeper, just let me know.
Thank you. So actually, that was pretty cool, and it was pretty responsive, especially in terms of latency. I would say it's a bit distracting to see all these pills moving around, and I didn't get a lot of visual feedback from the voice itself. So that was quite interesting. So let's now move on to the next one, Retail AI. So Here, there is also voice AI being offered. However, there is a higher degree of customization, not just for, say, the voice that I can interact with, but the use case at hand as well. In this case, I could create a voice AI that can fulfill different roles, like debt collection, customer service, lead qualification, so on and so forth. Now, I couldn't really try the live demo here. However, I could simply sign up and create a demo. Actually, there were some templates here too, so that was pretty easy. And in this case, I can see a workflow style interface, which is super, super cool. And I think it's also really well built. I have this very elegant sidebar on the side here, and I can take each node and inspect through the sidebar, which I think keeps the UI of the actual workflow manager a lot clearer and cleaner. I can actually test it now, and in this case I can click on test, and I will be able to interact it a bit like with the website module I couldn't use. So let's give it a try. I will basically get a call.
Hi, this is Grace from South Bay Dental Office. I'm reaching out regarding the form you submitted to learn more about our teeth cleaning package. Am I
Yay! Very excited.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. So just to confirm, am I speaking with customer name?
Possibly.
All right. Just to make sure, could you confirm your name for me?
Yes, it's Ricardo.
Oh, okay. So just to confirm, am I speaking with Flag, customer name Flag?
Yes, it's Ricardo.
I'm following up to see if you're still interested in our teeth cleaning package.
Yeah, totally.
Great. So the package is $1,000 and includes 5 teeth cleanings. Would you like to go ahead and purchase it?
I'll have a think. Thank you. Can you call me tomorrow?
If you change your mind, feel free to call us back. Have a nice day.
Cool. So as you could see there, I tried to interrupt a couple of times and it worked really, really well. It also had a little laughter as well, which I thought was interesting. And yeah, this probably felt like one of the most natural voices I ever spoke to. And yeah, there were a couple of issues, as you could see. The workflow itself doesn't have a fallback name or a fallback way to address me if they don't have my name. So that would be easy to solve for. And when I told the bot my name, it didn't really understand at the beginning, but the second time went better. So let's now have a look at what I like to call container type of experiences with AI. Basically where the AI takes over your current environment or spins up entire environments for you that it can operate on your behalf. Of course, you might have heard about Operator from OpenAI. So basically it can navigate and do things on website on your behalf, which is really, really cool. So anything from basically making a plan to buy tickets, ordering groceries, and in the future, more advanced stuff, of course. There are other tools that are starting to play with this or are starting to come out. Like, for example, Raycast now has that kind of ability to have a look into what you're doing just below its quote-unquote search bar, which I find really cool. In this case, they created something called extensions, which basically creates a connection between the app and your desktop. And so I will be really, really curious to see what extensions come out in the future that can be used any day. They already have something for calendar, scheduling, emails, and probably they have a lot more cooking up at the moment. Something else I saw recently is a tool called Scrappybara. By the way, amazing name. And it can basically do the same, but it's a bit more scriptable, a bit more deterministic, and a bit more closer to the code side of things. So if I give it a spin in this demo, I will see that it can, in a desktop, search for a website, getting some information, and ultimately get that information into Discord. So it's showing me how it's creating a Word document in this case. And it will look now for something on the website. Yes, the Discord button. And it will now send a message on my behalf, which is super, super cool. I actually look forward to see if these guys will release a record tool of sorts. Think about that as a super smart macro. And how can this be deployed at scale for, say, a large customer service team? Next, we have video, right? And this is getting huge and a lot more accessible by the minute, basically. And we have Argyle, that basically can take your own video and imagery and actually create convincing videos of text that you've written yourself or generated. I find it fantastic because there may be some short snippets of video that you don't want to bother recording all the time, or you might need to edit something like adding gestures or make it, or yourself rather, say something specific. So I find this technology super, super interesting. And actually, I would love to play with it soon. And then there are players like Pickle that take a similar implementation and actually apply it to live video. So in this case, you can create a virtual avatar of yourself in front of a Zoom meeting. So having Pickle act as your webcam. I think this could be very, very interesting for use cases where you might need to be, quote unquote, in multiple places at the same time, or you may not be able to be in front of a camera for a short while or longer. And, well, maybe sometimes avoid people knowing where you are actually. Yeah, so I'm really keen to see how these tools get picked up and how many more AI implementations we will see this coming year. I will make sure to keep you posted. Thank you so much. Bye.